All right, I guess we can go ahead and get started here. We're just missing EJ, so it's going to be a kind of short meeting, so I'll go ahead and get started. So I'll call the Halifax Finance Committee meeting to order. It is 6:01 p.m. Today is Monday, May 20th, 2024. This meeting is being conducted remotely and recorded by Area 58. In attendance from the Halifax Finance Committee is Cheryl Zerla-Burke, Michael Bennett, Jim Walters, Frank Johnston, Bill Smith, and myself, Todd Dargy. And absent is EJ Bryan. So first order of business on the agenda was the acceptance of the meeting minutes, which was from May 8th, is the latest that were circulated. Has everyone had a chance to review those? Any open discussion, questions, concerns, comments?
It looked good to me.
Yeah, me too.
Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay. Would somebody then like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 8th?
So moved.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Michael. Roll call vote, Jim?
Yes, on the meeting minutes.
Frank?
Yes, meeting minutes from 05/08/2024.
Thank you, Frank. Bill?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Motion carries 6-0. All right, so the next item on the agenda was the financial impact of the town administrator contract. So Cody, I kind of mentioned to you a little bit. So this kind of came up as part of the line item transfer request that we received pre-town meeting. I forget the amount off the top of my head. I think it was like 3,800 or something like that. And so really the primary question was, how many, just this, or 7382, I think was the actual transfer. But, from the Finance Committee's standpoint, we weren't really aware of, the contract, specifics as far as when the new contract went into place, which I now understand was March. But so like one of the immediate questions, and I'll turn it over to if others have additional questions to ask. But really, the more immediate question that came up when the transfer request was presented in front of us was, is that 7382 that was put forth the total true up, or is there more, I guess, money owed, I guess? And so just trying to understand the overall financial impact there, I guess. So if we could start there, maybe.
Yeah, sure. So that's the full impact for the rest of the fiscal year. So you can see, in the contract, the new contract's effective March 1st. So, excuse me, the salary, revised total salary changed effective March 1st. So the figure in the contract isn't what I'll receive for the full year. It's just the prorated amount of that, which was the transfer. So, for March 1st through the end of this fiscal year is what that amount was. And then, as far as the communication aspect of it, I apologize for that. I mean, not just for this contract, but for others. My mindset, it obviously wasn't the best in the, hindsight. My thought process behind it was we can't do line item transfers until May. We'll bring it up as soon as May comes and bring it forward at that point. Obviously, that was not the best method. So, in the future, what we can do, and I believe I might have mentioned this to you, Todd, is, anytime there's a contract that you're unaware of or that has changed, we'll bring it forward to you as soon as it's finalized. Unfortunately, we can't do so beforehand because that would be contract negotiations, which are, typically done in executive session, and it can't be public. If we brought it to you, it would be public. But we can certainly make the process more transparent. So as soon as there are any changes going forward, we can pass it along to you. So, but I do apologize. That is 100% on me. So, that is something that I've taken in, and we will change in the future.
Yeah, no, exactly. And thank you for that, Cody. And really the standpoint was just from, if we're going to be presented with requests for transfers, just more we want to be able to understand the picture as to what we're, voting on or approving and that kind of thing. So just to have that transparency. And that was really the main point of it.
It makes total sense. I completely understand where you're coming from.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So thank you for that, Cody. I guess I'll open it up to the rest of the committee. Any additional questions on this topic? further.
What's the contract process? I'm curious. And how is the finance committee engaged, if at all, and then the wage and personnel committee, if at all? So what is the contract process? So I'm an employee.
Mhm.
I get an offer from who cares, Whitman, to pay me 20% more. So I bring it in and I say, hey man, I got an offer for something else. Pay up or I'm leaving. So what happens at that point?
Well, I mean, I can't go into too much detail as it was done in confidence, that aspect of it. But what I can say is with it, there's only so many contracted employees. So myself and the two chiefs. Obviously the board of selectmen have oversight over those contracts. In this particular case, there was there was another opportunity that presented itself. And in executive session conversations with the board, it was determined that, I think if we were able to come to just a fair compensation, that it was something, that both of us desired. And, we came to an agreement, and that's kind of how this came about. They're contracts, so they don't go through wage and personnel or the finance committee, because they're the sole power is with Mass General Law. The select board has the authority to negotiate contracts on behalf of the town.
Over $5,000. Correct. That is correct.
Correct.
So, okay. So this isn't, my intent is not to make this about your contract, Cody, because
Sure,
that is
yeah.
what it is, right? I would like to know what the process is. So, if whoever has a contract with the town and is getting paid X amount of dollars gets an offer from somewhere else, do I just take it to the selectmen? Do I say, hey man, I got this,
Well,
and then what
yeah.
happens at that point?
Well, I think everyone is, there's individual circumstances, many factors that play into it. The biggest one is, what are we paying adequately for any position, right? We just did this compensation classification study. So when we look at, okay, are we paying in the range? Are we paying too much? Are we paying too little? That's a factor that's considered. And then also, what are the implications if we were to have to bring in a new employee for whatever position, right? We're talking just generally here. What is that cost to the town in a monetary value, right? Are we going to have to bring in an employee at what this employee is looking to get, right? And then you already know this employee, so there's a value to just keeping that employee and paying them fair market. Or are they looking for more? Are they looking for less? And then you look at, what is the cost of lost productivity, right? So if we were to recruit, any of the contract employees, they're all pretty high level. There's a loss of productivity within the department, within the town, of at least probably 3 to 6 months. So if you're putting a cost on it, right? We look at that. What is the cost of that? And then we also look at what is the cost of when someone new comes in, if there's no one internal, which in many of these cases we don't have an internal candidate, how long is it going to take them to get on board, right? So maybe that's another 3 to 6 months of kind of lost productivity. So at least this is kind of what I present to the board, and the board's logic is what is the best value, what is the best option for the town. In a monetary standpoint and also an operational standpoint, keeping in mind, we're not looking to overpay, we're not looking to underpay, and is it within the compensation classification range that the wage and personnel did adopt in the fall.
Okay, I accept that rationale. So let me just step back because maybe I'm not explaining it correctly. What I'm interested in is step one is what? And then it goes from step 1 to step 2. So is it just between the contracted person and the board of selectmen, and whatever they settle on is whatever they settle on? And then everyone else basically has to just kind of accept that? Or is there another process involved?
Well, if it's the town administrator position, yeah, it's directly between the town administrator and the board in an executive session, and with potentially negotiating a new contract. If it were one of the chiefs, what we do is usually that runs through me, and then, I'll bring whatever proposal on their behalf to the selectmen, and, I will provide kind of those things that I just detailed. This is the market rate. This is what this looks like. And then they'll make, this is what we're willing to do, or this is what we're willing to offer, and then bring it back to the chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
And then, right, if it's something that the board is comfortable and feasible with, then we put together a draft contract, council would review it, and then it's on an open session meeting for it to be voted on. And at that point, once it's voted on in open session, the contract becomes, public, and it's all public record.
And what happens if the finance committee doesn't approve the transfer?
Well, technically there would be the funding wouldn't be in the account, so there would be a situation where you try to renegotiate with the person. If the transfer weren't done for whatever was in the account, you would effectively not be able to pay that person for whatever that period of time would be.
Okay. So basically, the only parties involved for contracted employees is the Board of Selectmen and the contracted employee. Correct?
Yeah, effectively until the contract is ratified, and then it becomes public. And that's where I mentioned it. The better communication on our end in transparency of getting it to you guys kind of immediately afterwards, which I felt is where we lapsed this time.
Yeah. That's all the questions I had. Thanks.
I have a question as well, Cody. Is this the same process? We're about to make a big change in the town accountant position after Miss Sandy leaves for retirement. Does it pretty much follow that same rationale that you just described, or how does that work?
That's a little bit different, Frank, because that's a wage and personnel employee. So they don't have an individual contract. You can have a contract with the town accountant. That's one of the positions under Mass General Law that you are allowed to contract with. And we have in the past. We haven't contracted, for Sandy, but I believe prior to Sandy, there were contracts in place for some of the accountants. So if it were that route, it would follow that process. If it were the same as Sandy's, it would follow the process of wage and personnel, where any variances from the bylaw would require approval from, both finance committee and the selectmen. What I can say is we were looking at a couple of candidates, bringing them in a little bit higher than step one, which requires wage and personnel approval. And that was brought to the selectmen initially. And then, if they had kind of given their blessing, we would have brought it to you. Because at that point they hadn't even selected a candidate, right? So it was a hypothetical. But if one body isn't going to approve it, then there's no point of moving forward.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions on this topic from anyone? No. Okay, all right, so then moving on to the next item on the agenda was the funding transfer request. So we kind of just put this as a placeholder just to have open discussion on like any upcoming transfers, I guess. So Cody, I know that there was the issue with the roof, and then which turned into be a little more widespread with the structural issue and such. Anything developed there, I guess, to communicate, or kind of same situation, I guess, as of now, or?
So, we're meeting tomorrow, all of us and the contractor. It looks like it. So, I guess rewind a little bit. So was it Thursday or Friday? We got that torrential rain, which we knew it was going to happen if it wasn't taken care of. The building started taking in water. So what we did is we put like a snow and ice shield on the roof. To protect it, that should buy, if we had to, that would buy us up to a year, is what we've been told. So there is a cost to that. That'll fall within the existing contract, the amount that the funding we have put aside for that contract. And we're going to have to kind of restart here and figure out what we're going to do. We need all new architectural drawings. So it's going to be a while probably before we come back looking for more money. What we're looking to do at this point is basically terminate the contract we have in place, compensate them for all of the work they've done up to this point, and then circle back around and figure out our best game plan. Just because the work that needed to be done that we didn't expect is actually more than the initial contract amount. So we can't just, move forward with it. Even we don't have the funding, but even if we did have the funding, there's procurement issues, and we need to kind of recircle and figure out how we're going to approach this.
Okay.
I have a question regarding that,
Go ahead,
Todd.
Frank. Go ahead, Frank.
Are we going to have to pay that initial contract in full, or are we prorating that contract based on percent of work complete under the existing contract?
Yes, that is correct. So we will pay them for any work that's been complete. We had a third-party cost estimator, Fogarty. They do a lot of contracting, construction consulting, price estimating. We had them, we gave them all the work that had been completed, all the supplies that had been purchased, and said, what is a fair value on it? And then we'll pay for everything. Obviously all the supplies will be ours, and we'll pay them for all of the work completed. But so we'll get out of it whatever's been done. Yeah, so we're not going to pay that contract out in full then, based on what the adjuster had recommended to the town? No, definitely not. Nope, we'll just pay them for the work that's been completed. With we had a clause in our contract that we could terminate at any time, with notification. So we're going to exercise that clause. And no penalties for that early termination of a contract? No. Perfect. Okay, that works.
And all the work that's been performed, Cody, that was really still needed work, I guess. There isn't anything that's like throwaway work, I guess, that the town's going to be billed for, I guess, given the additional issues that we found, or?
Not really. I mean, the unfortunate aspect is they stripped the roof. So right there, which we needed to do in order to replace the roof. But so I guess the really only added cost is we had to put on that snow and ice shield. Which is kind of a temporary measure to protect the building until we can figure out long-term, because we're not looking at something where we can turn this around in a month. We're going to have to rebid the whole thing. And that's if we, could have the funding in place. We're going to have all new design documents. Then if we reach over a certain threshold, there's certain different procurement requirements. So it's not an easy, terminate this contract, bring a different contractor in to do the rest of the job. The snow and ice was an added cost, but definitely there was really no way around it.
Yeah, so the building's functional at present now then?
Yes, yeah. They, on Friday, it did start taking in some water, so they went right back out. We authorized them to do the snow and ice shield, and that sealed everything up. And our architect advised us, if we had to, that will last us a year exposed to the elements. Okay. But Todd, I wanted to circle back up to the transfer request. So refresh my memory from last Monday. It's a little foggy. We all signed off on all.
Yes. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
7
all 7 transfers, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
We didn't leave anything open. We signed them all off, correct?
No, there was so this issue that we were talking about, that one, narrowly passed with the vote 4-3, but we still it was approved by majority. So everybody signed the sheet, and
all right.
So there's nothing else for us to do there. Yeah.
Yeah, I just couldn't quite remember. There was a lot going on last Monday.
No, yeah, it was a crazy day for sure, but yeah, no, everything's all set there with the transfer. We want to just circle back just on the topic, just to clear some of the points. And I know Jim had a couple questions, so I just wanted to, give the opportunity for folks to follow up. And I had talked to Cody, a couple different times as well in between the meetings and stuff, and to work on a plan as far as improving the communication going forward. And we will be having like a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen as well to discuss that a little bit further as well. So it's something we can proactively work towards to collectively improve. So
thank you.
Yep. Okay. All right. So so any other, I guess, general funding requests outside of that item there that we're expecting at all, or anything? Any line item transfers, Sandy, that you know of or anything?
Not at this time. I do
No.
expect one or two to be coming through, but not right now.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you for that. All right, so then moving on the agenda was the next up is the correspondence and as may arise. So I know that there were some various like correspondence and communications regarding the town meeting and stuff. I don't know if anybody wants to share anything or if anybody has anything, any takeaways they wanted to mention here. You can do that now. Like I said, we are going to schedule a meeting with the selectmen to kind of debrief the town meeting as well. So you can certainly hold any comments or feedback to them, which is where we'll get into more depth. But just if anything's, anything came up, I guess, that anyone wanted to mention, now's the opportunity. Go ahead, Frank.
I wanted to ask about Plimpton. Did they approve if anybody knows, and Cody may know this, the police officer for the Silver Lake Middle School?
Yes, they did.
They did approve it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's one of the challenges that I think we need to work on for this year. So, part of our initiative, and as you all know, to try to not recommend it's our opportunity to make change, right? Unfortunately, now that it's approved, and as Paulette stated during the meeting, they just go to the to the police department, right? And then they fund the position at whatever cost they deem fit, which we know is $85 an hour, and then we get billed. So I think in between now and the next town meeting, I guess we'll have to engage them and try to see how we can, address that contract issue in between the town meetings, right? So because there is no oversight of the contracts, which is really the big problem with the school, right? So they just say we need a part-time officer, and then the bill comes and they just pass it to us, whatever that cost is. There's no one that's questioning, those costs and trying to, reduce them and things of that nature. So it's definitely an area of focus, or it should be an area of focus, I guess, for this committee between now and next year. So that's, it's not only the the resource officer, but there's also the the transportation for the special needs and areas like that are big ticket items, I guess, low hanging fruit. I think that some substantial wins can be had if we can work to address those invoices. But I did look up to the average cost of, in Massachusetts of a school resource officer, and it's about $40 an hour, which, again, we're paying $85 in detail pay. So we're all paying, over 20 grand a year, right? So I think that's substantial. And certainly a lot more than a lot of the motions that were made on the floor to reduce, salaries of key roles, within the town hall. So anyways, that's something I think we just need to really focus in on and see if we can make some headway in the coming months, because next year is going to be a major challenge as well, with the increase that we're expecting from the schools. So so that's two key areas where I think we can get ahead and try to reduce some of those costs. But again, we need them to be willing to partner and work with us. So
Right, to be forthcoming.
Yeah, and also, Todd, if I remember correctly, in the meeting we had at Town Hall with the school committee, they had mentioned that this is the last year of the first student contract, I believe, or is there one more year after this? The first student bus services.
that I'm not sure, Frank. Does anybody else know?
I think
Yeah,
I think there's an option year left.
One option left. Okay.
One of the
Seems like
things,
their big issue with the bus was that they never re-asked them to reallocate, knowing that they had one really long bus route, one really short one. They never asked them to reallocate and adjust and figure things out and see if you could do it with fewer buses or fewer stops or whatever. So it was just crazy.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
And do we not ask is there a difference in price if, say, they all meet at a certain location rather than we stop at every house? Do they charge us more for stopping at every home? Or would they charge us less if there was a group of them at one particular stop? So we don't have all those stops. You see what I mean?
think it's the same cost. They just charge you by the bus. So whether that bus makes 25 stops in the morning or it makes 2,
Six stops.
they charge you per bus.
All right.
Okay.
And it's only the elementary kids that get the door-to-door service. The high school kids all have high school and middle school do have group stops.
I haven't noticed that in my travels early in the morning.
There's a lot of stops, yeah.
I've noticed them stopping, and some of these children
Yeah.
seem to be they're high school students.
Oh. Well, they used to do group because there was a whole bunch of kids near me on Hayward Street, and at each end of the street was a group. There'd be one group down the south end, one on the north end.
Yes, I understand that for the older kids, but the little ones,
the little ones, they go
kids.
door to door. Yep.
Yeah, because I had that issue with my granddaughter in Hanson, and she had to walk up the street. There's no sidewalks or anything. It's a very busy road that goes into Hanover. And she had to walk up 6 houses up the street to a house that doesn't even have any kids, and that's where the bus was stopping. So I had a chat with the bus driver. He had to turn around and come right past her house because he had to go into Hanover, turn around and come back. So now he's doing door to door with her, which is perfect, you know.
Yeah,
She's 5 years old. She can't be walking up that street, you know.
Right. No, absolutely.
I'm a big city girl, and big cities don't do that.
They did for the kindergarten, Cheryl. Because when my kids went to kindergarten in Brockton, they got picked up at the driveway.
Yeah, mine did not.
No?
No, it was
Mine
4,
did.
5, 6 of them. They met at one corner, and that's where the bus stopped. Yeah, because my kids are older than yours, so.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right. Anything else from the correspondence and as may arise?
Mm-mm.
No.
Okay. All right. So next up, then, it was public participation. There's a couple people on. Anybody have anything you want to raise? If not, I guess one point to make here, I guess, too, I guess in various discussions with folks, I guess, like I definitely would like to emphasize to folks to join, right, for public participation. It's the opportunity for folks to weigh in and stuff. Definitely want to look to avoid another debacle in a town meeting. So to the extent where people have comments or want to understand the rationale for our decisions and things of that nature, then, this is the forum to certainly do that. We do conduct this remotely, which does make it extra, convenient for people to join, right, whether they're on the way home from work or whatever the situation may be. Having these meetings conducted remotely, it lends opportunity to join at will. So definitely, that's something I think we should emphasize to the public and try to see if we can get more public participation on here for folks to weigh in and to debate things a bit further as we go. And certainly have our challenges cut out and for the next for the upcoming year as well. So something we'll have to work through. So, and then I guess that brings us to the next meeting planning. So there's a few different things going on here. So as far as like our regular schedule, so, I think we should go back to our regularly scheduled calendar. So that was, the first and third Mondays of each month. So that's would be June 3rd and June 17th will be the next scheduled, meetings per that calendar that, Katie had published. So if we can start following that again, given that we're past the crunch with the budgets and all that kind of stuff. So we should get back on that schedule. Doesn't sound like anything's pressing. So the caveat here is that we may need to add an additional meeting here or there if there's like an urgent transfer request that needs to kind of be pushed through. We're not at that point now. Certainly doesn't sound like. So I think we should be good to start planning out the meeting. So June 3rd and June 17th would be the next two upcoming ones. The other item here too is in relation to the Board of Selectmen meeting that I mentioned a couple different times. So I had some conversations with the selectmen and with Cody as well. And so we want to do a joint meeting on Tuesday, June 11th. And so I think that will be, it's not finalized yet. I don't think Cody, right, but the time would be at 6 p.m., I guess, with them. So a few of the topics that we want to cover in that session will be the communications, as we mentioned, right? So how can we better, communicate amongst all parties, especially in relation to contracts and just general communication as well? How can that be improved? What methods should be used, emails or them joining these sessions or whatever it may be, for somebody to communicate and, and to partner with them more effectively. Also, the recap of the town meeting. So we want to spend some time just talking about feedback and thoughts on the town meeting. So that will be a second topic. And then the third topic will be the review of that, the financial management review that Cody had shared and we discussed. We would do that at some point. So given that we're going to get together, it's a great opportunity to kind of cover that as well in that session as well. So it'll be those three key topics, which will kind of hijack, I guess, the selectmen's meeting there. So, a bit. But so Cody, if you can just get back to us and confirm the time, I guess, of that and everything. But that will be, again, Tuesday, June 11th. Go ahead, Cheryl. You have a question?
I will not be available unless it's going to be on Zoom. If it's a in-person one.
It'll be in person, yeah.
Yeah, I won't be
Okay.
every day.
And that's fine. We can fill you in after, I guess. Is anyone else have any concern? Is everyone else going to be available though? Any other planned vacations or anything like that?
I'm good.
No? Okay.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So yeah, we can fill you in late. So the meeting will be recorded, Cheryl, as always, right? So you can always watch it after the fact as well. But we can fill you in as well.
Okay.
Yeah, make it. And so I guess if there's anything that you want to have covered or whatever, just reach out to me, let me know, and I will make sure that it gets mentioned as well, so that way your feedback is incorporated as well. So
Okay.
all right. So that's the second one. Well, any questions on that so far?
Nope.
Does that sound good? Any other topics, I guess, from anyone that you think we should add to the meeting, or is that comprehensive? Yeah. Okay. All right, and then so the third meeting is really just for Cheryl and Michael, so it'd be in relation to the reappointments to the Finance Committee. So we're looking at doing that either May 28th or May 29th. I think we're just still trying to just nail down the exact date.
Do we have to meet there too?
That can be done via Zoom.
Okay.
So do you have any concerns with being available on the 28th or 29th at, say, 6 p.m.?
No problem.
No.
Todd, I think we're looking at the 28th.
28th.
We have, if we're going to do 6 p.m., yeah, the 28th. I will confirm tomorrow, but I don't think the 29th at 6 will work. We have a zoning bylaw review committee meeting. So
Okay. Okay. All right. So we'll pencil in 6 p.m. on the 28th. I guess that works for you, Michael and Cheryl. It should just be like maybe like a 5-10 minute meeting. It'll be pretty quick. So.
Yep, I'll send out the Zoom link later this week.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
We all don't have to be on that meeting. Is that correct, Todd?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
No. Yep.
And Cody,
So
would you do the 29th for that zoning bylaw?
Yes, 29th at 6 p.m. Correct.
Okay.
Okay. All right, great. So I guess, again, so the next meeting here will be June 3rd at 6 p.m. via Zoom. We'll continue to do these via Zoom for now until the state guidance there changes. But so I guess we'll see you all then. I guess this brings us to the end of the agenda. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Cheryl. Roll call vote. Jim?
Yes, on a journey.
Frank?
Yes, to adjourn, please.
Bill?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Meeting is adjourned at 6:35 p.m.